Bible, available now from Tommy Nelson.
Welcome back to an American Conservative's exploration of the inspired Word of God. Thank you very much. It's a very long title. Yes, it is. Welcome back. And there are tools that we use, including going into our chat room. We use information. The Blue Letter Bible, the online etymology dictionary, two basic tools that we use. Our intent and our purposes is for you to get a understanding of how the interpretation of Christ fits modern issues and concerns in our culture, not the other way around. The whole idea is that you have to learn exactly what things meant in the day that they were meant so that you can aptly apply them to the word. Now, we learned earlier about xenophobia that it is related to a hostile fear of foreigners or strangers. We learned that racism is built on the framework of not the color of one's skin. No, that conversation is now turned from people of color to any ethnicity, which takes us a long way from what racism actually is, or at least initially meant. Why is that important? Because the conversation changes when we begin to expand our definition of racism, while others are using a more traditional interpretation of it. You've expanded it in a modern format to include all subject matter rather than just a few particular points. Let me give you an example of where we go awry. When we look at the term in terms of racism, the International Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Racial Discrimination says that racism is, or race discrimination shall mean any distinction, any whatsoever, any exclusion, restriction, or preference based on. Now, I want you to understand, exclusion means that you do not have a right to tell people where they can go and where they cannot go, because all personal life becomes public. I want you to watch that definition. You can't tell them, or at least certain groups of people, you cannot tell, which means that your laws were fitted to this rather than the observation of a hostile action towards someone based on the color of their skin. Based on race, color, descent, or national or ethnic origin, which has the purpose or effect of nullifying or impairing the recognition, enjoyment, or exercise on an equal footing of human rights and fundamental freedoms in the political, economic, social, cultural, and any other field of public life. And so you're sitting there saying that everything is racism. And guess what? Ding, 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 ding. You got it. So why is this important in terms of a biblical study? Well, we have to know where our borders are, even in our conversations, and know exactly what we're talking about. But wait a minute, kid, that sounds like it talks about everything. And yes, you're right, it does. When we take a look at what racism is considered, I want you to look. Now, this has been repealed as of 1991, but I want you to understand what the definition of racism once included, and to some people still does. The United Nations General Assembly Resolution 3379, adopted on the 10th of November 1975 by a vote of 72 to 35 with 32 abstentions, determined that Zionism is a form of racism and racial discrimination. Kim, what are you talking about? You talk about being Jewish? Is yes, ladies and gentlemen. Zionism, the Hebrew term, Newt, Zionism is the national movement of the Jewish people that supports the reestablishment of a Jewish homeland in the territory defined as the historic land of Israel, roughly corresponding to Canaan, the Holy Land, or the region of Palestine. How you refer to this tells me if you believe it's racially offensive for the nation of Israel to exist. Yes, that was repealed in 1991, but it existed for 16 years. That racially, that a religious people were now deemed racial. And not only racial, but racially offensive. A group of people were considered racially offensive by the United Nations. Now, those who would answer that Canaan in the Holy Land would probably be supportive of Israel and say that it is right for the Jewish people to have their homeland back. But those that would answer that Palestine is a place would say that it is racially provocative to have the Jews in the promised land, or they would say Palestine. Why is all this immigration stuff so vital in terms of conversation? Because often we get our conversations wrong. I want to go over some things with you very quickly, and I'm going to put this in our chat room for those who are following along at home. There is a very important understanding besides the feelings. We have to move our conversations away, and I know it's difficult because some of us have been taught that all our politics is centralized to our feelings. But that is not necessarily a good bet. That is not something that is right. There is such a thing as what is legal. Exactly what is legal. I'm going to put this in the chat room because those who believe in something called law believe that there are rights and that there are remedies for rights being manipulated or destroyed. But legal comes directly from, and this is an adjective, it comes directly from Latin, legalis, which means pertaining to the law. And basically what is the law? It's basically rules and statutes that are put in place, commandments that are put in place that we must follow to oblige the authority that's in charge and to also live within the well-being of the quote-unquote kingdom or society. So coming directly from Latin, it means basically an enactment, a precept, a regulation, a principle, a rule, formal proposition for a law, motion, bill, a contract, arrangement, contrivance. So let's just put it this way. When you enter into a country, you're making a contract with that particular country because it's not your homeland. You have no right to disobey the laws of that country. You have to oblige the authority of that country. In the United States, it's we the people. So that there are borders. Here's what it means to be legal by definitive terms. I'm going to put a little bit in here and then a little bit more in our chat room. And you can easily go to the Exceptional Conservative Show to join the chat room. But when it comes to legal, an adjective, it means permitted by law, lawful, of or relating to law, connected with the law or the administration. It means appointed, established, or authorized by law, deriving authority from law. Notice this term is used often here, right? Recognized by law rather than by equity. What does it mean by that? Not by what you feel is fair, but what is just. It also means, and I'm going to give you some theological as well so that we are contemplating all things in this discussion. It means as well relating to or characteristic of the profession of law or of lawyers. In theology, it means relating to the Mosaic law or relating to the doctrine that salvation is gained by good works rather than through free grace. This is where we can really mess up when we come to the whole idea of what is legal. You see, legalism says that I got to knock on 100 doors this month and give a tract to somebody, and that's how I know I'm saved. Legalism says my skirt goes below my knee and it's been measured, so that's how I know I'm saved. True salvation says it comes from Christ because of what he did at the cross, and nothing else has to be done. You're saved by grace. Important to know, ladies and gentlemen, important to know, because how you see that subject gives me an idea of how you deal with the subject of immigration. Here are some other definitions for legal. A person who acts in a legal manner or with legal authority. Someone who enters the United States of America legally is acting in the authority of the state and as well we the people. Someone who illegally migrates here without following the law, without the regulations in place and filling out the paperwork at the U.S. Embassy in the country in which they're in, the persons who do that, guess what? They're illegal. They're acting illegally. So a person whose status is protected by law. Those who do it right are protected by law. Those who do it wrong are subject to the law. I think we're learning a few things today. Here's what we come with illegal. Very important in terms of establishing a conversation. Illegal. So people would say, well, can it illegal is just the opposite. Well, maybe not. It is the opposite of. Yes, it is. But it also means not by law. So we could say opposite of. What's the opposite of legal? It's opposite of legal. Not legal is probably your best answer. Not law, directly from the Latin legalis, illegalis. So literally, and this is a front to many people, and I'm okay with you sending me letters at ken@theexceptionalconservativeshow.com and telling me that you should not have said what you said here. But in the chat room, I am putting exactly what these definitions are. It means forbidden by law or statute. That's what illegal means, forbidden by law or statute. Contrary to or forbidden by official rules, regulations. The noun form of it is informal in today's speak because it says illegal alien. So why is this important today? It's important today because individuals have assigned the term racist if you do not believe in allowing someone to come into this country unlawfully. Now, many of you all are shaking your heads saying, "That's not what I was thinking. That's not what my mindset was. It's because Donald Trump doesn't want black people in this country. That's just what it is. He doesn't want brown people in this country. That's just what it is." But I want you to know that we, the people, that includes you, said that there is a legal process by which people are to enter into a country. A legal process. So, what exactly then is racism when it comes to immigration? Racism would be, we don't want any brown skin or black people in our country. We only want white people in our country. And our laws do not say that. Our laws clearly state that there is a process that individuals must follow, including going to the U.S. Embassy in the capital or wherever its affiliate offices are, to fill out the paperwork and to get in line for consideration of entry into the United States as a permanent citizen or as a temporary resident. There are laws in place. Now, I know a lot of people say, well, let's use your home, which you open your front door. And there's some people that say, hey, I'll just open up my front door, ain't no problem. But it is a problem because you have a purse and you have a wallet and you lock up your goods from other people. Basically, anyone who enters your home without your authority and permission is illegal. They are breaking and entering. Now, you may feel as a Christian, I will forgive them and they can just come in. But the law is you cannot come in to someone's home without that person in authority giving permission to someone else to enter the home. Why is that important? Because the first thing that we have to admit, the first thing that we have to understand in this discussion is that there is only one race. It is the human race. Our immigration policies do not break it down so that only a color group it has entry. Everyone around the world has an opportunity, not a guarantee, to become a citizen of the United States of America. Just like every American has the opportunity, but not the guarantee, to become a member of any other country in the world. But to become one in the United States, you must forfeit your allegiance to the country that you just left. Most countries do require that. So, if we are to say that there are no borders, it does not make it effectual for everyone because not everyone subscribes to that. And eliminating borders does not eliminate racism. That's based on the United Nations definition. What it does is, however, create a land filled with laws that do not have to be followed or obeyed. It creates what we call chaos. Ladies and gentlemen, they do say that all of us were immigrants. I want to give you someone's opinion on that process.